I'm Darren Wagner. I'm here at Eastmont to show new people to the Canyon School District and people who have not used our system yet, our TriFit software we got from Polar. Every single school in our district has been given this software. We'll be using this in our physical education classes throughout this year. The first thing you need to do when you get your TriFit system is make sure that you input every student's name into the system. Here's the problem. Like our software, most of your computers will not be connected to the internet. So what you need to do is head to your classroom desktop to download all of your names off of your Skyward browser. If you look at the screen, I'm going to put up a quick picture of the steps needed to download names onto your pen drive so you can bring it onto your TriFit software. I've already done so to help speed up the process, but make sure you go to your desktop and put the names onto a pen drive first to bring them onto the computer. I would suggest getting all your names loaded onto the system before the beginning of the school year. It makes it much easier for you if you're all ready to go before the school year starts. Students will be changing classes, but you can easily transfer names from class to class. After you've loaded your names into Skyward and brought them onto your computer, they will show up initially in PE Manager. I've loaded the names from last school year underneath my name, and here are the students. If you need to, refer back to the page that I previously put up, and it shows you how you get your name in with your class and students. The other program you will see is Polar TriFit. Right, both are found on the left-hand start menu of your computer. The Polar TriFit program is used for measurements in sit and reach, bicep strength, body weight, and body fat composition if your school chooses to do so. Now, there are a few tests you must have in our district for your Polar TriFit. One is height. You must have the height of your students. 2, weight. You must do measurement in your student's weight. Modified sit and reach is 3. Maximum push-ups, maximum sit-ups, and bicep strength. Those are all areas that we all must have. There are some others that you can add, and you can look at what tests are available by scrolling up to the goggles here in the middle, clicking on your customized view, make a new view, next, and you can select from different biometric assessments, height, weight, blood pressure, girth, and those kind of things. All right. I'm going to select height and weight. Body composition assessments. You have 2 site skin fold for youth, 3 site for adult, 7 site for adult, body fat direct value, and circumference. I'm going to select 3 site adult only because I'll be showing you how to do this on an adult. Fitnessgram assessments for youth. You have the 1-mile run, the pacer, walk test, and so forth as you look down. I'm going to select pacer because that is one that we do here at Eastmont. I'm also going to select our push-up test. And our scroll on the right side, you have your 1-minute curl-ups, partial curl-ups, and so forth. I'm going to click on sit and reach. There are some other assessments. You must have the 1.5-mile run if your school does the 1.5-mile run. Half the schools do, half the schools do not. We do, so I'm going to click on the 1.5-mile run. I hit the next button, and it gives me a few other different cardiovascular assessments. None of these we use, you may, like the 1-mile walk, the step test, and so forth. You can look through those. There's strength and flexibility assessments for adults. I'm going to click on a few of these only because we will be showing these. You will probably not use any of these in your class unless you set up a program for teachers at your school. I'm going to click on the modified sit and reach and 60-second sit-up and bicep strength. Hit the next. It shows me the tests that I have selected. I can adjust where I want them on my screen by moving them up or down. I'm going to leave them as is You can put them in any order that you feel comfortable. Usually you like to go height, weight, skin fold, and then make your cardiovascular test, muscular strength test following that. But as again, it's up to you and it's your choice. I'm going to hit the next button. It'll ask me, do I want to finish? Yes, I do. And now it shows all those tests that I've just clicked on. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to show you how to do each of these tests. As a district, we need to be the same across the board. Every teacher needs to make sure they are doing every one of these tests the same way so that we have consistency from school to school. We'll start with height, we'll move to weight, and so forth. I'll show you one at a time, and then I'll come back and input it into the screen so you can see how we do both. Now the first test I'm going to be showing you is testing the student's height. Every school in the district has a scale like this to use for measuring students' height. Have the student step 2 feet onto the scale, sideways. Walk up as the teacher. Right. Use the bar to measure their height. Very easy. Make sure it's flat on their head. And you can scroll down and see exactly what their height is. Okay. Here we have 65 inches. That's the number we'll need to import into the computer. Now we go to the height. It has to be in inches. That's why all of our scales are measured in just inches. You don't even see feet on the scale. So we'll use inches as a measurement. The height there of that student was 65 inches. Now I'll move over to weight. All of you have a weight scale that will also be doubled as your bicep strength scale. Okay, we're going to do weight first. Every single TriFit machine has a scale that looks like this next to your computer. That is what you'll be using for measurement in bicep strength and body weight. As you come up to your computer, if you look at the weight, if you go to the right of the weight, you'll see this little scale measure. Click it, a new screen will pop up. Asks you to zero out the scale. That means everything needs to be off of the scale. Right now we have nothing on our scale. Then your student, then click the continue button. It'll ask to measure. Have your student stand onto the platform. Feet not moving, body nice and straight, not wobbling back and forth. It only takes a couple seconds. Then immediately the computer will input the weight of that student. 144 for this student here. Now the next part we're going to do, since the student is already on the scale, we're going to have them do bicep strength. Again, bicep strength is done on the same exact scale that they just did their body weight on. Just like when you looked at body weight, if you go to bicep strength, you'll see a little measurement tool. Click on that measurement tool. It's going to pull up some instructions for you on what to look for. Here are a couple keys. Before you select to measure and actually get a reading of their bicep strength, make sure their arms are at 90 degrees. To do that, on your actual band for the weight scale, there is a measurement tool to slide up and to slide down to change the height of their test. You're going to have the students just lift up with their biceps as hard as they possibly can. And the test itself only takes about 3 seconds. A couple things to look for as the teacher. One, sometimes students will lift with their shoulders, pulling their arms back, almost like doing a shrug. The other thing you'll see is students pulling and leaning backwards, trying to pull with their body weight. If you see either of these things, the test is invalid. You need to have them retest. Their body should be positioned straight on the scale, standing nice and tall. They're only using their biceps. If you've made sure that the student is placed correctly on the weight scale and they're ready to begin their test, you scroll over to your screen, go to continue, and it's going to pop up a screen that gives you the weight variables on the side and the 5 seconds for the test on the bottom axis. When your student is ready, you need to go to the Start Repetition button, click on it. It's going to give you a countdown. This is what I would recommend doing, is click on it, give them ready, set, go, and have them count. Now the next test we're going to do is our modified sit and reach. Modified sit and reach is different than the traditional sit and reach that you may have done when you were in elementary school or middle school. We do this on our TriFit machine. Just like the last couple ones, I'm going to press on my measurement tool right next to modified sit and reach, and it's going to pull up a screen explaining some tips that you may want to say to your students. I'm going to show you them here. After your student is ready for the sit and reach, have them sit at the front of your TriFit machine. Feet are flat against the front, legs are straight, back is straight. I've learned that if you place something at the student's back, it'll help to keep their back straight so they're not slouching. This helps give a more accurate test. Our school will be using the speaker this year to help keep the student's back straight. When the student is ready, have them reach forward to grab the bar and sit up nice and tall. Back is straight, and they are holding the sit and reach bar with two hands firmly secured around. A couple things you will see. One, they will hold it with the ends of their fingers as you try to reach as far forward as possible. The problem with this is it's given an inaccurate measurement. If they start in their palms and finish at their fingers, that is an extra inch or two added to their sit and reach. The other thing you may see is before they start, they will start rolling up the sit and reach cable so that when they lean forward, they'll release the tension and let out more of the cable. This is given another inaccurate measurement. So make sure you go through the correct process. They're sitting up nice and tall. They're holding it in the palms of their hand. When they take the test, you will have them keep their legs down, feet flat against the front, and they're going to reach forward as far as possible, like this. They need to hold it for about a 3-second count so the machine can record it, and then they can sit back up. I showed you that portion of the sit and reach. I want to show you what's happening on that actual computer and what you will be doing during the test. I've just clicked on, I'll click out of it so you can see it again. Go over to the modified sit and reach. I pull up the screen. It's going to give you a few instructions for the students, but I've just gone over that. Have them sitting nice and tall, feet flat against it. Again, the picture doesn't show something against their back. What I have learned is that if you do not keep something against the student's back, they will tend to lean forward or lean back or slouch, and that will affect the results of your test. Now I've hit the continue button. As soon as I hit the continue button, it's going to start my test. So I can have my student then lean forward, please. They hold for a 3-second count. 2, 3. Then I say, okay, you can sit up. And the TriFit has recorded their score. If I go over to the close, their score of 20.3 has now been shown in the modified sit and reach section. The next thing we're going to go through is the 3-site measurement for body fat percentage. Again, this is a school-by-school basis. We do not do this. I am just showing it so that you will know how to do this in case your school does. Just like the last ones that we've gone over, if you go to tricep site, you'll see a measurement tool to the right. You click on it, and it'll bring up the beginning part of your skin fold test. It's asked for me to zero out the caliper. To do that, I just make sure that it is closed and I do not have it open. So this is zeroing out the caliper. I'll hit the continue button, and it begins our measurements. The first one they would like me to do is our tricep site measurement. Normally, I would have another person here to show you how to do this, but I'm going to do it on myself because of lack of personnel. First thing I'm going to do, open up the caliper. It's going on the triceps. So on the tricep here, right, you're going to squeeze the skin and this excess here. That is what's going to be measured. All right? So I'm going to take the caliper, I'm going to squeeze, and it is on that excess. Once it's placed on there, I'm going to hit that button to the left. Makes a click, and now I can release the calipers. Number then shows up on the screen here, what that measurement is. It now allows us to move to our next measurement. Measurement is cephalic site, so I'm going here on the side of the abdomen. Same thing as before, where I set it, it's now in the excess skin. I can press the button to the left, makes a click, I can release. Measurement has been inputted into the computer, and it now asks us to go to our last site, which is our thigh site. For the thigh site, right on the side of the thigh, grab, excess skin again, make sure the caliper is in place, click it to the left, it makes a click, and the measurement has come up. And now that measurement has been inputted in the computer. Keep in mind, students, or if you do this with adults at your school, will be wearing clothing during this test. So you need to remind them that the numbers are a little bit higher and their body fat percentage will also be a little bit higher. For me, I'm doing it on myself, so this isn't as accurate as possible. When you're with your students, you get a much more accurate reading. All right, so now each of these measurements have been read. I can go to the close button, and it'll input each of them into our TriFit. The remainder of these tests are not done on the TriFit itself. They're all inputted scores. We have the pacer test, push-up test, 1.5 mile run, 60-second sit-up. All those tests will be done without the TriFit, but then we'll input them into the TriFit later so that we can assess the students and create some graphical summaries for them. Because of time and because we're not actually using the TriFit for it, I'm going to show you how to do a few of these tests, and then I'm just going to input some random numbers in so you can see what it does with the graphical analysis. The first test we're going to do is our sit-up test. This is a 1-minute test. Students are doing as many sit-ups as they can in 1 minute. Their hands must be on their shoulders. They cannot have their hands behind their neck. They cannot have their hands up. They must be on their shoulders. Legs are at 90 degrees. When they are doing their sit-up, look for this. They have to have their hands on their shoulders, and they're going to come all the way up till their elbows touch their knees. And then they come all the way back down till their back touches the mat, and then they can go back up again. That is what our sit-up test should look like for Canyon School District. This test is our push-up test. The push-up test is done till muscular failure, meaning the students are doing as many push-ups as they can until they cannot do anymore. Every school will now be given these push-up pads this year. It's wonderful because it has hand placements for the students and a block to make sure that they get down far enough in their push-up. Instruct to the students that the block needs to touch the V of their neck when they're doing their push-up, and then they come all the way up. They do not have to squish the block all the way down, they just have to make contact with it. A good push-up should look like this. They can choose where they put their hands, their back is straight, and they go down to the V of their neck, touches the pad, and then they can come up. Again, they go down to the V of their neck, touches the pad, and then back up. Good. Again, this is done till muscular failure. They're doing as many as they can. For the remainder of these tests, we're just going to input scores. Let's say for the push-up, that student got 25. And then for the sit-ups, let's say they got 70 sit-ups for their sit-up test. The other test, pacer, this is a cardiovascular test that we will show at the beginning of the school year when we do our new teacher and incoming teacher orientation, so you'll see that test then. These scores would then be that student's first initial test. If you look at the top here, it says record 1 of 1. When we do our mid-year review and then end of the year final assessments, you'll want to put in new records. To do that, you go to testing on the top tab. You can put in new record. So I'm going to select new record. It now gives me record 2 of 2, and then it gives the date for that assessment. Of course, this is today's date because today is the day I'm working on it. You would then measure and input each of the scores just like you did on that student's first assessment. Good. Just assume you've done your beginning of the year pre-assessment. You've gone through the first trimester of classes. and now you want to do a mid-season review just to see where the students are at and just assess them on any gains that they have had throughout the first trimester. On the TriFit, I have their initial scores already put in from the pre-assessment, and then I just inputted some scores for a second assessment. I'm going to show you how to pull up a graphical summary of that student's progress during that current time. Now, if you go to the computer, you go to the top up here, you can go to print. It gives you a bunch of different options. Graphical summary is what we are looking for. Graphical summary. I'm going to do both tests, all right, so we can look between the two. I want to preview them so I could show them to you. Now, it puts it into a nice little bar graph of what the students' scores were for the first and second set of tests. All right. Their height, weight stayed the same. Body mass index stayed the same as well because of the height and weight. If you look down for a pacer score, it has their score. The bar graph looks like it's about the same, but there's a slight difference here. They improved by 5. If you scroll down here as well, you can see their 1.5 mile run improved as well. View of where the students improved and didn't improve. Example here, I'm looking and I can easily see that the student dropped down in their bicep strength. They went from 44 to 30 pounds on their bicep strength. The rest here, we've got strength, sit and reach, body comp, and their overall fitness. Awesome thing about this graphical analysis, it puts their scores into categories for their age based on national averages. Example, bicep strength, we have poor, fair, average, good, and excellent. All right, the first bicep strength of 44 pounds is considered average. The second test that we did for 30 pounds is considered fair. And if you look down here, we've got the push-ups are considered excellent, sit and reach considered excellent, body composition very low, which is good, and then we have overall fitness. The overall fitness looks at each of the tests. It looks at body composition, sit and reach, 1.5 miles, and it gives them an overall score. We have 86.7 percentile, and they are considered excellent fitness. This is a great report to print out and give to your students. I'm hoping this year, being our first year using it here at Eastmont, that will allow the students to make goals for beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of the year. And it will also allow them to make changes on it, assess themselves, see areas that they may need improvements on. Example, a student may think that 44 pounds is awesome for a bicep strength, but when they get to see it on the graphical summary, they'll see that that's just average for their age. So this will kind of give them an actual visual to see where they're at. Another really interesting thing you can do for students, we're not going to be doing body fat percentages here, but your school may. If you go to print again, we just went to graphical summary. If you go to trends report and you click on, you can go fitness, body composition here. Or you can preview it, and it kind of gives them a nice little graphical summary of where they're at for their personal fitness. Here it says, Veronica, your current body fat is 11.8%, falls into the low classification. And when you get other things on here, when you do more body weights and stuff like that, they'll be able to see trends throughout the year. Another really fun thing with the TriFit is if you go up to the top print, scroll down past trends report, you have presidential challenge reports. Some schools do these, some do not. Our school has traditionally not done this, but again, we've not had the TriFit at our school, so this might be something we'll be doing here in the future. If you scroll over to individual report, you can actually see that student and where they fit for the presidential challenge. So here has the student's name, and it has their overall, and they are participant. And then if they scored higher, obviously they could be national or presidential. Might be an idea for you to print those out and give them to students. Every school has received heart rate monitors. These heart rate monitors, you'll either have the plastic strap heart rate monitor. They go with these small elastic straps. Or you will get the newer ones, which some of the schools have them now, which look a little bit differently. It's a softer material. Both work exactly the same for the students. I'm going to show how to use the hard strap ones because almost every school will be using these this coming year. when you're putting these on, or when you're having the students put them on, make sure that the Polar is facing outward. Right? The hook goes through the circle, wraps around, and it'll lock in place. The strap then needs to be wet before the student puts it on. It needs to go about 2 inches underneath their pectoral muscles. It'll go around their back and then connect back on the other side. You need to make sure that the students have it tight enough. The heart rate monitor should not come off of their chest. It should only come about 1 inch or so away from their body. It needs to be on bare skin. When it is in place, then they take their watch, they press the red button on their watch, and then it begins to code in their heart rate. When they have coded in their heart rate, like I just have done to myself, it'll show their heart rate at the bottom of their watch. A blinking heart to the left means that they have found their heart rate. When they are ready to start recording time when you are using the watches, example, when you do your 1.5 mile run, you will be having them use heart rate monitors and they will be recording on their watch. To have them record, they press the red button again. Once recording, the watch will beep if not inside their target heart rate zone. When they have stopped, they can pause it with the red button and they can clear their watch when they're done for the day. Here in Canyon District this year, we'll be expecting every teacher to go through and run this with their students. It's a perfect fit for our health and PE classes now that they're both combined. It allows you to set up goals with the students with their own personal fitness, and then you can bring it back in the health room and you can talk about how do we improve those goals, what areas of our fitness or our personal triangle do we need to improve to help our fitness goals improve. If you have any questions on this, please feel free to contact me at Eastmont or any of my staff here at Eastmont, and we'll be here to help you. Thank you.